guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is, of course, Camden, and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Monday, which means it is, of course, the Talking Rubbish Transfer Show. We're here to talk about all of the latest transfer rumours linking players with a move to Everton and away from Everton in certain circumstances. We're going to talk about Hirving Lozano and Allan today, and how one specific rumour states that they could be on their way to Everton for either a whopping £80 million or €80 million, or for a swap deal for striker Moise Kean. Now, we spoke about Moise Kean yesterday. I want to say a big thank you for all of the support on that video that we put up yesterday. Got loads of support, and basically was just giving my opinions on obviously what happened with Moise Kean, what was released on Saturday night. If you don't know, I'll only talk about it briefly, obviously, because I did put up that video giving my opinions. But Moise Kean was basically caught having a party, a raunchy party, as it was stated in the article, obviously during lockdown, and obviously during a period where parties are the last things you should be having. There was video footage of it and all sorts. But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I give my opinion on it in yesterday's video. So if you haven't seen yesterday's video after today's stream, I strongly recommend going over and taking a look at it and seeing if you agree with what I said about Moise Kean. But we are going to talk about Kean today because he has been linked with a move away from Everton a couple of times in the last week, and I've spoke about Moise Kean a couple of times, and I've said I don't really understand where these rumours are coming from. The player's come out himself and said that he's happy at the club. You know, he's complimented the fans on a number of occasions. He said how much he loves Goodison Park on a number of occasions. And from what I'd seen prior to Saturday night, the club had seemed fairly happy with Moise Kean, and they'd come out and they'd said they were happy and that Carlo Ancelotti was looking forward to work with him. Obviously, everything happened on Saturday night, and maybe that's where these rumours are coming in. Maybe there's somebody either at the club or on Moise Kean's team or the player himself. Maybe there's somebody within that relationship that isn't quite happy or isn't quite content with what's currently going on. And obviously, the club was said to be appalled about what Moise Kean's actions, and said that they're going to sit down and they're going to massively talk to him. And there's even a rumour of a £160,000 fine that he may face due to them. So we're going to talk about him today. We're also going to talk about Allan and Lozano. We've got an update on Philippe Coutinho coming from Bleacher Report as well, which is really interesting. We'll go into talking about that. Of course, it is the Talking Rubbish Transfer Show. If it's your first time watching the show, basically what we do is we go through all of the transfer rumours over the last week or so since last Monday, and we basically rank them whether I think that it's possible. Both, they're ranked on both the possibility of the rumour being true in itself and the possibility of us actually making a move for said player, whether I want to make it happen and get it done as soon as possible, or whether I think it's complete rubbish. And a complete rubbish, obviously, just for an example, Everton could be linked with Lionel Messi, and although I'd absolutely love Lionel Messi at Everton, I'd be marking that transfer rumour complete rubbish because it's absolutely never going to happen. So that's a little bit about how the show works. If you're enjoying, please do hit that like button, get your thoughts in the comment section down below as well, share the video on social media. Let's get as many people in here as possible. So we'll talk firstly, before we go into talking about Allan and Lozano, I want to talk about a 21-year-old midfielder who have been linked with today. According to L'Equipe in France, Everton have been linked with 21-year-old Stade Brestois 29 midfielder Ibrahima Diallo, nearly butchered that, don't want to butcher that name. He's said to be a little bit Kante-esque. He's 21-year-old midfielder. He is that sort of sweeper role that we've been looking for ever since Idrissa Gana Gueye left the football club. Now, the rumour states that we've inquired about the player. Doesn't state that there's been any bid or that there's any, anything too solid in it at the moment. It just states that we've inquired about the player to the club, and I assume we're awaiting an answer on that one. But it's really interesting. Like I said, there's not much to it. It's very much a fresh new transfer rumour, but it's interesting for L'Equipe to come out and say that we're linked with a 21-year-old midfielder who I would assume would be coming in as that sort of replacement for Idrissa Gana Gueye. Obviously, it's also very interesting because it leaves in question where Jean-Philippe Gbamin's place in the squad's going to be, obviously, when he returns from injury, because it looks like Diallo is a player that could come in and potentially play the role that Jean-Philippe Gbamin was brought in to play. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one impossibly straight away. I'm not going to lie, I don't know an awful lot about the player to say and make it happen, but I also don't think it's complete rubbish because I do think Everton will be in for a midfielder in the summer that can sit in, just in front of the defence and do that sort of sweeping up, mopping up work, because it's not clear yet whether Carlo Ancelotti will want Jean-Philippe Gbamin to do that. or whether Carlo Ancelotti will want Jean-Philippe Gbamin to play as a central defensive player. We know that obviously when Gbamin came in from Mainz last summer, he was coming in as, yes, a midfielder that could play that Idrissa Gana Gueye style role and as a potential replacement, or actually a replacement for Idrissa Gana Gueye, but we also knew he could play centre-back role, and his agent had come out multiple times and said he'd be more comfortable playing at centre-back for his previous club. So who knows where Carlo Ancelotti sees Jean-Philippe Gbamin's future at the football club, or maybe not at the football club, who knows. But I do think we'll be in for another midfielder of the sort of defensive midfielder Idrissa Gana Gueye type, and it looks like Ibrahima Diallo may be that midfielder. So I'm going to go ahead quickly and put that in possibly. Like I said, there's not an awful lot to that room, and it's very, very new, it's very, very fresh. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. Another defender that we're, not another defender, Diallo's a midfielder, a defender that we've been linked to over the last sort of week or so, Barcelona defender Emerson. I believe he's currently out on loan at Real Betis. He's 21 years old. This is according to Sport in Spain. He's a defender, 21 years old, and Everton apparently again have inquired about him and could potentially make a move for him in the summer transfer window. Now, again, I'm going to go and put that one in possibly, because I know that we're after a defender. I know that we're going to be looking to bring in a defender. I pretty much am sure that the aim at the moment is to still go fully for Gabriel and try and bring Gabriel in. And if Gabriel does come in, then I'd probably be putting this rumour in complete rubbish. But it's, you know, it's not a bad thing for us to have a backup plan. It's not a bad thing for us to have a fallback option. And maybe Emerson is that fallback option. Obviously, you know, we've got a good relationship with Barcelona, as shown in previous years, bringing in Luca Dean, bringing in Yerry Mina, bringing in Andre Gomez. So that relationship between Everton and Barcelona is very much there, and it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, if the Gabriel deal doesn't go through, that we go to Barcelona and maybe try and look to bring in one of their young centre-backs, potentially even on a loan, with you know, sort of a view to buy, because let's be honest, Emerson probably isn't going to get in Barcelona's side anytime soon, so maybe they'd be looking to send him to somebody like an Everton to get some experience, and obviously if we don't manage to get the Gabriel deal over the line, then you know, it will be a fallback option, and a pretty decent fallback option at that as well. So they're, like I said, they're just two rumours that we've seen over the last sort of week or so, that there's not an awful lot in them. They're just very, very fresh, very, very new inquiries, you know, here and there. So anyway, into the main rumour of the video and the title, of course. There's been a couple of different articles, a couple of different journalists linking Hirving Lozano and Allan with a move to Everton. So firstly, we see in France Football, obviously a publication over in France, they said that Everton, well, he basically said that Napoli would be looking to sell both Allan and Hirving Lozano, and that if Everton wanted them, they didn't say that specifically Everton were interested, they just said that Napoli would be looking to sell, and if Everton were interested, they'd have to pay up to £80 million. Now, I'm going to go and put this one in complete rubbish, not because I don't necessarily think that we aren't, you know, interested in Lozano or Allan, or not that I don't necessarily think that Napoli would sell them. I just don't think we'd pay £80 million for both players. I know that Carlo Ancelotti is a big fan of Allan. Obviously, you know, he managed them, and he said play with him, then he managed them at Napoli only a few months back. And Hirving Lozano obviously has got that connection with Marcel Brands, and that connection with Carlo Ancelotti, again being managed at Napoli. But I always think back when we're linked with Hirving Lozano, I always think back to about a year ago when we were massively linked with him. I think it was the first summer that Marco Silva was in charge and Marcel Brands was in charge, and we were massively linked with Lozano because he'd just come off the back of a pretty decent World Cup, and he obviously he'd already had that link with Marcel Brands because he'd worked very, very closely with Marcel Brands at PSV. They had a good relationship, they had a good connection, so there was links left, right and centre to Hirving Lozano. And Marcel Brands actually come out at one point, I believe, in an interview and said, listen, I'd bring Hirving Lozano in, but if PSV want any more than sort of 50 million, I wouldn't make that deal happen because I believe I can get better value for money. So this is why I personally think this rumour in itself, like I said, there's two rumours about Lozano and Allan. I think the second one is a little bit more realistic, but I think the first one from France Football stating that we could be going in with an £80 million bid for both players, I just don't think it's realistic, especially after what Marcel Brands has said about Lozano in the past, saying that he wouldn't he wouldn't spend an awful lot of money. Well, not that he wouldn't spend an awful lot of money on him, but he basically wouldn't, he wouldn't go over the odds for him because he believed he could get better value for money. And Allan as well, although I do believe Carlo Ancelotti wants to bring Allan into Everton, I also sort of think that Allan's at that age now where, if you were to spend 80 million on both players, you could, the only way to sort of average it out would be to half it. It'd be £40 million on each. And although I think £40 million would be a pretty decent transfer fee for a player like Hirving Lozano, he's definitely somebody that we need. He's a winger. He's somebody that could massively impact the squad. He's got a lot of skill. He's got a lot of pace. He's good with his feet. I don't think we'd be wanting to spend £40 million on a player like Allan, who's 29 years old, and we don't necessarily know 100% whether he'll be able to bring, a decent year's Everton Football Club. We don't know that if he'd be able to come in and have that impact that a £40 million player should have. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one in complete rubbish, like I've said. Before we go into the second part of the rumour, let me just tweet the stream out and make sure that everybody on Twitter knows that we're live, because it's dead important that everybody on Twitter knows that we're live so we can get as many people involved as possible. By the way, obviously, leave your thoughts, leave your opinions on all of these transfer rumours in the live comments. I'll be going into the live comments shortly. If you're watching live, don't forget to hit that like button if you're enjoying the stream, and share the video as well. Let's get as many people in here as possible, and let's get as many people talking about these transfer rumours as possible. So firstly, like I said, I'm going to go and put that one in complete rubbish. The rumour from France Football stating that Everton could spend up to £80 million on both Lozano and Allan, because again, I just don't see us spending that much money on two players this summer. I certainly don't see us spending that much money on a player that's 29 years old, and a player that our director of football has come out already since being at the football club and said that he wouldn't overspend on. The second part of the transfer rumour, not the second, but it's not the same transfer rumour, but a very similar transfer rumour linking the same two players had come up just before actually Moise Kean had, it had come out that Moise Kean had hosted a house party and that Everton were going to discipline him, etc, etc. And again, I looked at this transfer rumour and I was always going to talk about it, but it was going in complete rubbish before Saturday night, because I was thinking, I just don't see why Moise Kean would want to leave the football club, and I don't see why we'd want to sell Moise Kean. He's still very, very young. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of potential. And I just thought the relationship between Kean and the club was as solid as possible. Now, obviously, Saturday night come along and everything happened, and the club seemed to be very, very unhappy with Kean because of his actions, and completely fair enough. And it did make me think, well, maybe there's somebody at the football club, whether it be Brand, whether it be Ancelotti, whether it be somebody on Moise Kean's team, whether it be Mino Raiola, which is very, very possible as well. Maybe there's somebody at the football club that isn't happy with, Moise Kean's position at Everton Football Club at the moment, because let's be honest, he's not a starting player. He's not going to start up front when the football returns, because Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are in far too good a form for either of them to be dropped for a player that's only scored one goal this season. And I said this on my video yesterday, I think Moise Kean struggled this season both on and off the pitch. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a very, very good player with an awful lot of talent, but I just think he's struggled this season. I really, really do. He's had his fair share of off-the-field problems. He's had, obviously, the most recent one with the lockdown party. He had a situation where he was caught filming Evertonians while driving, which, seemed a little bit innocent at the time. He was filming Evertonians singing his song, but ultimately he had his phone at the wheel and he was, putting people's lives in danger. He's turned up to training late as well. So he hasn't had the greatest time off the pitch, and his attitude has definitely been pulled into question by both Evertonians and Carlo Ancelotti as well. One of the first things Carlo Ancelotti was asked when he came in as Everton manager was about Moise Kean, and one of the first things he said was he needs to get his head down and he needs to work hard. And obviously on the pitch as well, it doesn't help that on the pitch he hasn't had a good season. We all knew that it was going to take Moise Kean time to settle down. We all knew that it was going to take Moise Kean time to get his head down and settle into this league. It's a new league, it's a whole new country for him. It's a new way of living. It's difficult. It really, really is difficult, and we all knew that it wasn't going to be a swimming season for him. And I think when he come out himself at the start of the season and said his goal for this season is to sort of get 7 goals, I think a lot of us thought, you'll smash that in about 3 weeks, mate. But obviously, that's not how it works realistically, and we've seen this season how he struggled. He's only got 1 goal for Everton, and like I said, his off the field actions at times haven't been the best. So maybe I do see where these transfer rumours are coming from. Maybe somebody like I said, in that relationship isn't happy, whether it's Everton not happy with his performances, or whether it's simply Mino Raiola, who is his agent, not happy with the fact that he's not playing every week, which could be very, very possible as well. Let's not forget Moise Kean left Juventus because they couldn't guarantee him first team football. So this is a player and an agent that wanted first team football at one of the best sides in Europe, and now he's not getting first team football in a team that are fighting to be a European side. So maybe that's where the transfer rumours are coming from. But this one, I'm going to say, I'm not going to go as far as to say make it happen, but I'm certainly going to say it's possible, and I do believe it's possible. And that is a rumour coming from Corriere dello Sport, and that is to state that Everton or that Napoli could potentially go and approach Everton with a potential move for Moise Kean, and in exchange they would provide Everton with Hirving Lozano and Allan. And it doesn't say if there'd be a price, it doesn't say whether they'd give us Lozano and Allan and a little bit of money for Kean, or whether we'd give them Kean and a little bit of money for the two players in exchange. It just says that there would be an exchange between Napoli and Everton, Moise Kean going over to Napoli and Lozano and Allan coming over to Everton. And like I said, I'm not going to go as far as to say make it happen, because again, without spoiling my video from yesterday, I'm not 100% on the get Moise Kean out of Everton sort of bandwagon. I think, he's made a mistake. Yes, he's done wrong, and yes, it's extremely stupid and selfish of him, but I think he's a football player with a lot of talent. I think when he gets talent around him, and when he gets leaders around him, and players with experience, and players of real quality, I really do think he'll be able to prosper. And I think I just don't want us to sell Moise Kean to somebody too early, and then him go on to be one of the best footballers in Europe, and we sort of think, you know what, maybe we've made a mistake there. Don't get me wrong, he needs to mature massively. He needs to get his head down, and he needs to work a lot harder than he's doing, and he needs to impress. If he's still here next season, he needs to be getting 10 or 15 goals at the very, very least, for us to believe that, we're getting what we paid for ultimately. But I just don't know if I'm 100%, sure that I'd just sell him straight away and go, you know what, get rid of him. Yes, he hasn't had the greatest season, but we all knew that it wouldn't be as easy for him. Look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin when he first come into Everton. He had 2 or 3 years where it just didn't happen for him, and a lot of fans were saying sell him, he's not good enough. If we get a £15 million bid for Dom, sell him. Now Dominic Calvert-Lewin for me is worth upwards of £60-70 million, certainly to Everton Football Club. He's our most prolific player at the moment, along with Richarlison, and he's been absolutely fantastic. And I honestly think with a couple more seasons in the Premier League, a little bit of guidance, and on his part a little bit of maturity as well, I think Moise Kean could again be one of the best players in Europe, and I just don't know whether I'd go as far as to sell him yet. However, Allan and Lozano coming the other way. I've said this multiple times before. It's very, very, very simple to link Allan and Lozano with Everton Football Club. What we have to think of when we're seeing these transfer rumours, and all we're talking about really at the moment is transfer rumours, because journalists, companies, they've got nothing better to do other than make transfer rumours up, because there's no football on. They can't talk about the football. They can't talk about the Champions League. They can't talk about the upcoming Euros, because it's all the Euros isn't happening, and the football leagues are all up in the air at the moment. So there's nothing really to talk about. So the only thing that they can speculate and talk about is transfers, players coming into clubs and players leaving clubs. And what you will find is that if, let's say, I don't know, let's just say, for example, Timo Werner's come out and said that he wouldn't mind joining Liverpool. All you're going to see now is rumours linking Timo Werner with Liverpool. 99.9% of them might be absolute bollocks, but what people are going to do is people are going to know that the player's keen, and people are going to click on that link, and people are going to go, oh, let me have a look at this, It's the same with Lozano and Allan, I feel. Certainly with both players, because it's very, very easy to link these players with Everton Football Club. It's very easy to link Allan with Everton, because Carlo Ancelotti has openly stated that he's an admirer of Allan and he would like to bring him into the football club. That doesn't mean that there's been any talks between Everton and Napoli. That doesn't mean that there's been any communication between Everton and Napoli. All as that means is that Carlo Ancelotti likes the player and that he'd be interested in bringing him in. I've just seen your donation there. Thank you very, very much, Stewie. I'll read that out in just a second. And in terms of Hirving Lozano has played under Carlo Ancelotti, and he's obviously played in a PSV team that Marcel Brands was a big part of and was the director of football. So again, there's that relationship there, there's those links there. Just because certain players have got certain relationships with staff that are currently at Everton, or with members of the coaching team, or with the manager, doesn't mean that, it really doesn't mean that there's any solidarity in the link. Players can be massively fond of, or managers can be massively fond of players. Players can be massively fond of managers. Doesn't mean that they're going to go to, the club that the manager is managing. It doesn't, and that's why I think it's really, really interesting, and it's really, really easy to it's really, really easy to make these rumours up. And although it's interesting, and although I do believe that there's a tiny bit of truth in there, because I know, I know that that Lozano, I know that Carlo Ancelotti really, really likes Allan, and he spoke about him before, and I know that Lozano has obviously got that relationship with Ancelotti and Marcel Brands, but I just don't know if there's any solid link there. So I'm going to say possibly, maybe, because again, I'm not putting it in complete rubbish, because there's been a lot of links linking Moise Kean with a move away from Everton this summer, and I'm starting to think that there may be something in there. And there's also been a lot of links linking Allan and Lozano to Everton as well. So I'm going to put it as possibly for the moment. Let me know your thoughts on that one in the comments section down below. I've got one more to talk about. We're going to get into the comments now. Stewie, a massive thank you for that £2 chat donation. If you didn't know, there's a little $sign, I think it is, just underneath where you put your chat in. You can donate to the stream by doing that. Again, I'm not going to ask anybody to do it. I'm not going to tell anybody to do it, but if you want to, we really appreciate that. So big thanks to Stewie for the £2 donation. He says, what's your thoughts on finishing the league? I feel like we will finish the league. I just feel like the FA and the Premier League are going to do as much as they possibly can to get this league finished. I really do. And listen, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, and I don't think it'll be finished until absolutely safe to do so, but the longer it goes on, the less chance I can see it being void. I really can't, because I just feel like there's a lot of money in it. There'll be a lot of legality in it, and there'll be a lot of teams that miss out if it's not finished. And again, I'm not just talking about Liverpool. I'm talking about the teams in the Championship that are close to being promoted. I'm talking about the teams that are currently fighting relegation. So personally, I think it will be finished. I think it's not a priority at the moment, and I think if it goes over a certain amount of time and they say, listen, it's getting a bit out of hand now, I think they've got no other choice other than to avoid it and just completely say it's done, because it's definitely not a priority at the moment, but I do think they will finish it. I do. Eugene says Everton in 3-man transfer deal which could cost 130 million. Not too sure about who that is. I've just seen a couple of comments there. Wormy and Ziad, listen, let's just stop all of that. I haven't got any mods at the moment. I've seen a comment about that. I haven't got any mods, and I'm not going to get any mods at the moment. And let's not have arguments. Let's just be nice. Let's just appreciate each other, and let's get involved with all of the transfer talk. Carl says, hey mate, I'm returning to college. Fantastic, Carl, fantastic. Abigail says, I've seen a rumour that Inter and Napoli are talking about a swap deal with Allan and Vecino. I reckon it's real. Yeah, potentially. And again, you will see if a team, if a club comes out and states that they want to sell a player, a little bit like Barcelona with Coutinho, we will talk about in a minute. If a club comes out and says they openly want to sell a player, you'll see a lot of teams linked to them. You'll see a lot of rumours linking various different clubs with swap deals for various different players. You'll see a lot of that, and I do believe that there'll be a lot more teams in for Allan than just Everton. Hernandez says, how's it going, mate? I'm not too bad, mate. Hope you're doing well yourself. He says, hope you and yours are well. We're good, mate. Hope you're well yourself. He also says, amazing how a fan base can turn on a player so quickly like they have with Kean. Guessing all the players have off-field issues. Everton, it's spot on. You can't really argue with that. I do have to question, if it was somebody like a Richarlison or a Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and again, which is probably unfair to say because those players are unlikely to do that, but if it was one of those players, for example, would we have turned as quickly as we've turned now? I don't know. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. And if you're new to the channel as well, don't forget to subscribe. The button's down below. It's free. We upload every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, or stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and you get the occasional surprise upload like the one yesterday about Moise Kean. Wimmy says, hey, how's everyone doing, Cameron? I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad. I'm not going to go into the comments about, we don't need to argue. We don't need to argue in the comments. Jess says, hi Jess. Rim says, I hope we can keep Moise even with the party nonsense, though I do feel like I'm pretty sure the party was at his house, which means a lot of irresponsible people are letting Kean take all the heat. It was, but at the end of the day, listen, I think, he's got to take a lot of the heat for for hosting the party and inviting people over, and you know, obviously ultimately he's the football player, he's the one in the limelight, so again, he has to take responsibility. But you're spot on, it was at his house, and there was a lot of other people that will get away with this because they're not professional footballers and they're not in the limelight. Abigail says Emerson can play right back, centre back and right wing. Could happen. There is a young Dutch CDM/centre mid at AZ Alkmaar who has 26 goals in 111 games, left footed, and is available for 12 to 15 million. And again, in the league that Marcel Brands, obviously knows an awful lot about, and I dare say will be monitoring, quite heavily during this summer for the upcoming transfer window. Anyway, we'll get back into the live comments in just a second. I've got loads of comments. A big thanks to everybody for watching live. Like I said, if you're enjoying, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. We'll get back into the comments in just a second. I want to talk about Philippe Coutinho. We've had a lot of conversation about Philippe Coutinho over the last sort of 2 to 3 weeks. Me and Mike spoke about him on Saturday night. There's been a lot of rumours linking him with Everton, and if it started off as sort of Barcelona, want to sell Coutinho, and there's multiple Premier League clubs interested, including Everton, and then it slowly but surely grew to that Coutinho may fancy a move to Everton, and then it grew more into, Everton could be front runners basically, and this comes from Dean Jones at Bleacher Report, who was quite a reliable source. Obviously, speaking on the last transfer rumours, you've got Le Quip, who were quite reliable as well, but have got things wrong before. And then you've got the likes of Cria della Sport and Sport, who again have maybe got it right sometimes, but a lot of the times they've just thrown in names in the hat for the sake of it. But this comes from Bleacher Report, who again are quite reliable, and Dean Jones has reported that Everton could become a realistic destination for Coutinho if he has intent on a Premier League return. They continue to show big ambition in terms of transfer targets, and I'm not even going to mess about. I'm putting this one straight in, make it happen. I really, really am. I believe Philippe Coutinho wants to come back to the Premier League. I believe Everton are interested in Philippe Coutinho. I think, like I said on the video with Mike on Saturday, there's got to have been a conversation between Coutinho and Barcelona, or Coutinho and Everton, or Barcelona and Everton, as to say that if Coutinho was to come into Everton, he'd get his head down, he wouldn't worry about the Liverpool connection, he wouldn't ponder about his past, he'd just get his head down and he'd just focus on playing football. And I honestly do believe that conversation has happened, because otherwise I don't see why we'd pursue it. If Everton were interested in Coutinho and he come out straight away to Barca and said, listen, I'm not going there, I've got a history with Liverpool, I've got a past with Liverpool, I respect, not saying he doesn't respect them, but if he come out basically and said, I ain't going to Everton because of my past with Liverpool, I don't think Everton would be continuously rumoured with him. I think it'd be put under the carpet straight away and forgot about. But the fact that we are being continuously rumoured with him, the fact that Bleacher Report are coming out now and saying he could be a realistic target for Everton, and Everton could be a realistic destination for him, I think that Coutinho would be up for coming to a club like Everton. Again, he'd be joining, a football club on Merseyside, which obviously, he's used to and he knows the area. And he'd also be joining a football club with a better manager, in my opinion, than any of the other clubs that'd be, interested in him. You'd have the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham probably that were interested in him. But let's be perfectly honest, we have got a better manager than all of those clubs. We really, really have. We've got a proven manager who knows how to manage players, who's a fantastic man manager. Some of the best football players in the world have said Carlo Ancelotti's the best man manager they've ever worked under. And I do think that is a massive part of the deal for Philippe Coutinho. I do think he wants to come and work under a Carlo Ancelotti. Now again, it is just rumours at the moment, and we don't know if there's anything properly solid in it, but I really, really would make this one happen. If we can as a fan base get over the sort of Liverpool past, and if he as a player comes in and promises to just get his head down, work hard, not think about his past, and just continuously play football for Everton at a high level, I'd take him. I really, really would. I think he's got the quality that we need. I think he's a player that plays in a position that we massively need to strengthen, and I just don't see why you would reject a player of that quality. I really, really don't. So again, for me, a little bit of an update on Coutinho. I'm throwing it in, make it happen straight away. I really would take Coutinho and Everton. If you're enjoying the scene, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. Whammy says, hit the like, guys, support the channel, get Cam a haircut, 96p's. I do need an haircut, mate, but listen, it's lockdown, innit? What can we do? So Biero says, looking proper 80s with the stash and the shirt. Cam, thanks mate. Classic Everton shirt, obviously. If you can't see it, European Cup Winners' Cup final, Rotterdam, 1985. Love it, mate, love it. Abigail says, I think we sell Kean and put Gbamin back there. Potentially. I think Michael Kean may be on the list of players to sell in the summer just to gain a little bit of transfer fund, obviously, for incomings, potentially Gabriel, potentially Coutinho, whoever it may be. But it would be interesting to see where Gbamin fits into Carlo Ancelotti's plans going forward. Hernandez says, I think Moise Kean can have a great season next season. After next year, reevaluate and then decide. I'm sure it's easy to score when every team has a double or triple man mark Cristiano Ronaldo. Exactly. And you know, I think you put a good point there. You've got a good point. Where are we? David says Cam got 200p's. Stewie says, Sam, thank you very much once again, Stewie. Really do appreciate that. It means a massive amount to me. Says, can everyone chill? Exactly, just chill. There's no need to take sides. Just chill it out. Sean says it's an Everton stream. Can we talk? Keep it Everton related. Spot on. Wayne says, well said, Jess. Spot on. Casper says, Kean was linked with Roma last week. We should ask for Pellegrini in exchange. Yeah, young midfielder, I believe he is. Very talented. He's been linked with a lot of Italian clubs. He's been linked with Inter Milan. He's been linked with Napoli, as we know. He's been linked with Roma. And again, before Saturday night, I just sort of thought, I don't see where the rumours are coming from. For Moise Kean, I don't understand them. From what I've heard, the player's happy at the football club. The football club are happy with the player. I just don't understand where the rumours are coming from. But obviously now, after everything that happened on Saturday, and the club seemed to be, very angry with Moise Kean, and rightly so. What he done was indefendable. I do see where they're coming from now, and I think we're going to see an awful lot more of them now as well, especially after, what happened on Saturday has come out. Stewie said that I'll have to catch up later. Thanks, mate. Thank you very much, Stewie. Really do appreciate that once again. Jonathan says, hi, Cam. Good stream, mate. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Just as Cam says, just said no moderators, so there's no need for anything to carry on. Exactly, spot on. Tom says, would you like to see Kean get more starts next season? I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I think it would be wrong to split up Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison as a strike partnership, because I think they've been fantastic. I would like to see Kean more involved next season if he's still at the football club, because I think he's got a lot of talent. I think Moise Kean will do really well when he's got players around him that are, leaders naturally, and that have got an awful lot of quality as well. Moise Kean is never going to achieve his potential if the players around him aren't good enough. He's simply not. He's only going to achieve that potential when the players around him are absolutely brilliant, or at least at a level where they're competing in the Champions League, or they're experienced in competing for the Champions League, like Allan, for example. So it all depends, really. Again, he does need to get his head down, and he does need to work on his attitude, because at the moment, we can't be going out, we can't be doing what he's been doing. It's not acceptable whatsoever. And he also needs to improve on the pitch as well. This isn't a player that we're talking about who's got off the field issues, but has been banging in 20 goals this season and is in fantastic form. This is a lad who struggled this season, and we're all happy to accept that he struggled, and accept that it's going to take him a little bit of time to settle into the Premier League, but not if his attitude isn't in the right place. He does need to fix that. Wayne says Coutinho ain't happening, would mean us breaking transfer and destroying our wage, but I don't like that. Causes friction in the squad when he gets 200k a week non-starter. Well, again, that's also a big part of big part of the transfer window, isn't it? Financial fair play is massive, and I think players' wages, and I think transfer fees are gonna drop massively this summer, and obviously because of what's going on in the world at the moment and the financial market, etc. So it will be interesting to see what he wants. Listen, if he wants anything upwards of 160k, then we probably won't go for it, because realistically we can't, because of financial fair play. But maybe he won't want that much, and maybe we'll be able to get rid of some of the players that are on high wages, your likes of your Sigurdssons, your Schneiderlins, your Balassis, your Sandros, your Keans, your Niasis, players that are on silly amounts of money that simply aren't, either aren't playing regularly or aren't good enough. Abigail says Newcastle now think they can get Coutinho just because they're being taken over. I'd take him. I think it's the Carlo Fantastico factor. I do as well. In terms of Newcastle, yeah, I think Newcastle fans obviously at the moment are very happy, and understandably, but it's Newcastle fans have to realise, and again, I'm not telling them to not be happy, because it's Bosch, and they're going to get loads of Bosch things if they get the investment, including a new training ground, which is fantastic. But I think Newcastle fans have to realise that it's not like it was in 2008 when Manchester City got taken over. You can't just go and splash 250 million in one summer on one player. Financial fair play massively changes that now. And, you know, I'm just going to be honest, Newcastle aren't going to be a Champions League team within the next 6 or 7 years, even if they do get taken over, because they've got a lot of work to get there, and you can't do that work within a year or two because of financial fair play. David says we couldn't afford Coutinho. Maybe we couldn't, but it all depends how much Barcelona would be willing to take for him. Obviously, there was a rumour last week, which we spoke about in last week's Talking Rubbish Transfer Show, which said Barcelona could be up for almost half in his price to an offer into Everton at half the price, which is really interesting as well. So again, we'll have to wait and see. Wayne says, I don't know, £12 million thoughts for Toon. I've never heard of that player, and I don't know if it's a tricky one. So, but no, I've never heard of him, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it because I'll probably fuck it up. But I've never heard of him, Wayne. Sorry, Wayne says 8, Dave 96p's. Dave says yo. Abigail says good player. I've watched some AZ games from earlier this season over the weekend. You know, hopefully that Marcel Brando's looking at these players that maybe aren't necessarily in the in the newspapers every single day, that the hidden gems that we realistically need to bring in. David says, unless financial fair play is binned off next season, we have our backs against the wall. I do agree with that one. Wayne says, AZ captain, centre mid scores goals. William says, alright, I will have a look after. Oh, he's AZ captain. Toon Coop Miners apparently, so there you go. Carla says, hi Cam, what did I miss? We just spoke about transfers, we've spoken about Hirving Lozano and Allan potentially coming to Everton in a potential exchange for Moise Kean, with Moise Kean going over to Napoli. We've also spoken about a rumour that linked Lozano and Allan with an €80 million move to Everton, which I don't think is as likely. We've spoken about Coutinho, we've spoken about young Barcelona defender Emerson, we've spoken about a load of players, so you know, if you can, make sure you catch up on the stream when it goes live a little bit later on tonight. Ziad says, the YouTube take 40% of super chats. I'm not too sure, mate. I'm not too sure. And he also says, are you fast? And I'm not, unfortunately. I'm not. David says, no, Jess does. Casper says, Pellegrini, attacking midfielder. Exactly. Again, somebody that we need. Very good player as well. Jess says, I wish. David says, lol. Wayne says, 2.312111p's. And Zia says, Ramadan Mubarak, of course. He also says, have you heard of Isaac at Club Bruges? Again, I think that's a bit of a tricky one as well. Decent right back. I haven't heard of him, but I know his last name there, and I'm not going to sound it because I don't want to sound like the word that it says. But I haven't heard of him. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. Really do appreciate all of the support on the videos lately. It's been absolutely fantastic. If you've enjoyed the stream, please do like. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Links are down in the description below. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. We'll be live again on Wednesday, 5:15, of course, with another live stream. Let me know your thoughts on all of the transfer rumours we spoke about. A big thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments today. If you're watching as a YouTube video, massive thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave your thoughts on all of the transfer rumours we've discussed in the comments. Big thanks for Stewie once again for the chat donation. Really do appreciate it. Massive thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon. Oh, just before we go, Eugene says, meeting this Friday, all Premier League teams about playing the 2019 season, rest of it behind closed doors. Yeah, and I think that's a real possibility. I really do. Wayne says, take care, guys. Thank you very much. Take care, Wayne. He says, I was trying to tick you and knew it. Wayne says, Victor Osimhen is the latest linked player. Funny season started early. There you go. Eugene says, see you about the toffees. Thanks very much, Eugene. Really do appreciate it. Wayne says, stay safe, you too. And Wayne says, cheers, Cam. Have a good week, Blues. You too, mate. You too. Big thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Massive thanks for everyone getting